Take a look at this out of That Park Place by Marvin Montanaro. John Davidson, the man who was there at the BAFTAs for one of the biggest moments of his life. And what was that moment? To be celebrated as an advocate for those who suffer from Tourette syndrome. A man who cannot control what is said at times and who was manipulated, by the way. They scrubbed everything he said except for when he yelled a racial insult against his will at a very inopportune time. But they scrubbed everything else so that it seemed like he was doing it from a place of meanness. And then the Hollyweirds, the celebrities, and yes, Grace, who's disgraceful, they ran away with it. John Davidson speaks out after BAFTA's incident, says Tourette's tics caused wave of shame. Now, do you think they make Michael J. Fox feel this way? Because he's got the shakes, because he's got the disease. Do you think they make him feel this way if he spills something or falls down? Folks, they threw this man because he's lesser known under the bus for ratings, for clout, for clicks over the tics. Scottish Tourette's advocate John Davidson gave an exclusive interview explaining the involuntary vocal tics that disrupted the 79th BAFTA ceremony, which would otherwise not have been viewed by anybody, because who cares about him, right? The British Golden Globes, nobody cares about this. Davidson, the real-life inspiration behind the film I Swear, told Variety that he experienced overwhelming distress following the incident, during which his coprolalia tics included a racial slur, while presenters Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo were on stage. He said, I felt a wave of shame and embarrassment hit me all at once. Addressing widespread public reaction, Davidson emphasized that his condition is widely misunderstood, particularly the symptom known as coprolalia, the involuntary use of obscene or offensive language. According to Davidson, this symptom affects only a minority of people with Tourette syndrome. Very often, he said, the media focuses on my particular type of Tourette's, which is called coprolalia. This symptom affects 10 to 30% of people with the condition and is not a criterion for diagnosis. However, it is one of the hardest tics to manage and can be very distressing for those living with it. Many individuals report discrimination and isolation as a result, and you can imagine why. If the worst things at the worst times were said out of your head with no control and not representative of what you actually think or believe, you can imagine how horrible that would be. You can imagine the idea that, maybe you are a faithful person who wants to go to church, and it's hard to go to church because you're going to yell the F-bomb in the middle of church with children around. Maybe you want to go watch a movie in a theater, but you can't because you don't want to disrupt other people. You don't want to go into the theater and start yelling and cursing horrible things in the middle of an important scene. And so you hide in the shadows. You stay behind. You stay home. And you disconnect from society around you to be empathetic to those who don't suffer the way that you do. This is what Hollywood has taken and made themselves the victims of. Although they don't suffer from it. They, and people like Grace, they're the victims. He stressed that the words produced during a tic have no connection to his personal beliefs. Quote, my tics have absolutely nothing to do with what I think, feel, or believe. It's an involuntary neurological misfire. Davidson added that the experience can be emotionally devastating for those living with the condition. Now, you notice these gentlemen were up there when this happened, and they were not the only ones. Alan Cummings, who was doing a bit with Paddington Bear, had things yelled at him. There were other times when things were yelled, but the BAFTAs and the people in charge of them censored every other time. And then, once they made it seem like he just yelled this at this moment towards these men, that's when the clickbaiters, that's when the influencers ran with it. Nat, this is one of the most despicable things. This was a moment for this guy to be on top of the world. It should have been a night of celebration, and instead, they shamed him and they shamed everybody who suffers from Tourette's. They have essentially said, get out of here. Your disability is unacceptable to us, so go live in the shadows. Nat, what do you make of this?
And I think also, nowadays, yes, the story is important to tell and to understand how other people live, and it was important that he was there. But you could also have to wonder how much of it is virtue signaling by the elites, and then to prove themselves to not actually really care by not even trying to understand or trying to mitigate what could have been easily mitigated and explained by just going at it and using it as another opportunity to virtue signal even more.
Absolutely. And I'll go to this. I'll go to this one more time. It's important. We play it briefly, folks. We're fair use. This is Grace Randolph, an influencer with almost 1 million subscribers, maybe dropping, who knows. This is her saying that man who was there for the moment of his lifetime, a man who, by the way, met the Queen because of his advocacy and involuntarily yelled F the Queen to the Queen's face, and the Queen with grace, not this Grace, embraced him with kindness. Here's how Queen Grace has handled this. She's the victim.
I feel like there would be bad actors. I just feel it's an extremely bad situation. And I worry as a woman, not only in solidarity with other groups, but for women as well, that what kind of language does this let in?
Nat, are you worried as a woman because a man across the pond has Tourette's? Do you fear the world as a woman right now because of that? Has it struck you where you can no longer, you're immobilized, you can't go out for panic that somebody with Tourette's would dare come behind you and yell something offensive at somebody else, not you, of course, somebody else?
No, I'm confident enough in myself not to be affected by those kinds of things.
Yeah, I bet we as grown-ups can handle this. Culture is a very non-grown-up situation, and it's a real disappointment that Hollywood, that wants to virtue signal all the time, made this man feel a wave of shame and inverted what was supposed to be a celebration. It seems like maybe Culture, they didn't watch the documentary that shows what he goes through, and instead they amplified the pain.
Yeah, and I think some people stayed intentionally ignorant to what was actually going on. Look, there's a whole lot of emotional maturity issues that we can speak about that are tied to this. There's also like the oh my goodness, it's the fantastical nature of it all, right? The titillating part of this that gets everybody's underwear in a bunch. And that's not good. There are going to be people that will try to seek to take advantage of that, and they're going to make the lowest common denominator type of appeal. They're going to appeal to strictly an initial reactions, feelings kind of conversation, which takes the logic and the brain power out of the discussion. And those are the worst kinds of things that happen, on the internet, whether it be on, the various platforms like X, or even on, where the area we're in right now on the video platforms like YouTube. But I feel like Grace went for the lowest hanging fruit and the opportunity to claim victimhood herself, which speaks to a level of emotional maturity that I think is lacking these days in not just the sphere that we participate in, but around pretty much all these types of conversations. There are laws in place in the UK that somebody could be in trouble for censoring what he said all along the way in the rebroadcast, not in the rebroadcast, but in the live broadcast. Because we had a 2-hour delay here in the US. They had the opportunity to remove everything that Warner Brothers asked. This was the time they didn't. So,
yeah, and I'll tell you this, folks, think about it this way. Whenever we're dealing with people and the kind of people we cover here, we always consider the power and we consider power differences, right? So if there's some random out there, a random person who is insulting us, if they've got 2 followers or 3 followers, we're not going to, because that's unfair. It's just unfair. And I want you to think about this for a minute. When Grace Randolph, or when these celebrities like Michael B. Jordan or Jamie Foxx, when they come out and they lambast this guy, it's not just this guy that they're lambasting. It's also anybody who suffers from the same thing as him. Because now if they say the same thing, if they dare go out in public, and how many of them are hiding right now for the next 2 weeks or a month because they had the courage to go out there? This guy's winning an award. We're now accepted in society. Now they're hiding behind closed doors again. Folks, how many of them have 2 subscribers, 4 subscribers in their social media? Maybe they only have very close family and friends on Facebook that will engage with them. And these celebrities are shaming not just him, but everybody who has this. And these celebrities who have 17 and 21 bedroom mansions with gold-plated swimming pools, they come out as the victims. They come out as the victims. And the people who suffer from Tourette's, the disabled, this is like saying, how dare you not stand and greet me? Get out of your wheelchair, you bum. That's what they're doing to so many people. It's not just unfortunate, it's sinister, and it's an inversion of the power structure. It's taking those who have been suffering and saying, you're not the one who suffers. I, in my Rolls Royce right now, am suffering because you insulted somebody else involuntarily. How dare you? Nat, maybe they'll start throwing them in the paddy wagon soon. Maybe they just need to go to the popo and be done with them, right?
I mean, it's horrible. The as you mentioned, the power dynamics and also the lack of awareness too, and the lack of grace. I mean, not that grace, but grace in general, and also understanding that people have different experiences. They're always talking about different lived experiences, and now they're not taking into account this one. So just hypocritical to the max.
And that's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. We are done for now, but don't worry. Do not fret. Not yet, for more content is still coming your way 4 times a day right here on the Pro Channel. What a joy it has been to share our time with you. We hope you feel the same. Adding value to your every single day is our job here, and we take it very seriously. Folks, the only thing we ask in return is that you consider clicking that like button. Share, subscribe, click it. Stick it to those algorithms. It's the notification bell. And drop a comment right on down below. And folks, if you'd like to subscribe to our partner YouTube channels, That Park Place, That Pod Place, That Game Place, and some of those radio stations like Vacation Radio, well, we certainly would appreciate it. Until the next time we have the honor of spending time and being invited into your day, folks, we go on our way saying this: keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.
There are men who go to sea to find fortune. Men who go to sea to lose themselves. I went to sea to find honor. Since I was a boy, I was forged in discipline, faith, duty. They called me loyal. They called me righteous. They called me useful. But the sea does not care what a man is called. Only what he becomes when the world takes everything from him. I prayed for peace, and the world answered with only death. I have seen honor used as a mask, and sin used as a shelter. The devil walks plainly in this world without shame or fear. And now the ocean carries whispers of men who believe they can burn faith out of this world. They are wrong. My name is Jonathan Reed. My story has only just begun.